Welcome to the kill-death ratio, where I count all my kills and all my deaths. Today, I'm playing God of War, Ghost of Sparta. Developed by Ready at Dawn for the PSP in 2010, Ghost of Sparta takes place between the events of God of War 1 and 2, with Kratos exploring his past as visions continue to haunt him. We learn more about his family and how he got his signature red tattoo, all while continuing the same gameplay loop that makes these games so much fun. How many ghosts will Kratos send into the underworld on his quest to find his brother?
This is not a wise course of action, Kratos.
I select normal difficulty and we open with a Linda Hunt narration as Kratos angrily sits on Ares' throne while new visions of his mother and brother begin to torment him. Not one to sit around and wait, Kratos sails to the Temple of Poseidon within Atlantis in search of answers despite Athena's warnings against it. Instead of warning Kratos, she should be warning these weak idiots for trying me. Shortly after spilling first blood, some soldiers warn Kratos of a sea monster attacking their ships. We watch as Scylla wraps its spiky mouth tentacles around the boat and unleashes its ugly little head crab looking broods on me. We take the fight to dry land and knock a little sense into the sea beast before continuing on and adding more tritons to the count. But then Scylla aggressively apologizes with a full body massage and leaves him a tip before exiting so that Kratos can resume his murderous ways feeling as refreshed as ever. We get a brief break as Linda Hunt explains the temple contains a passage to the domain of death ruled by the god Thanatos. Kratos is not on their VIP list unless he obtains the skull of Charis, so we're forced to bypass this building in favor of more killing while Scylla watches from afar. I tally up my first dumb fucking death of the game because I neglected to hit the jump button on my way to Poseidon's temple.
Know thyself.
Oh, I know myself. I walk right into another vision showing Kitty Kratos and his brother Deimos play fighting when their mother Callisto initiates a dinner protocol. But when the vision ends, we come up on dear old mother in the flesh. Thinking his brother has been dead this whole time, she reveals that he's located within Death's domain and was ordered to keep the tea under lock and key by his father. The truth can often be painful, as it is here when Callisto writhes in pain and oh dear lord, what the fuck is that? Eventually I bring down Callisto and earn her thanks for setting her free from her curse. Kratos endures more trauma at the hands of the gods and puts another family member to rest personally. Previously the lead level designer on Chains of Olympus, director Dana Jan shared a similar viewpoint to previous director Ruvi Rasiria and wanted to explore Kratos' motivations for his actions in the main games. I think this is a pretty good reason to want to mess up some gods. But first, we have some basic enemies to attack. Getting bored of the scenery, Kratos rides Scylla to the nearby Volcano so we can get that kill total over 100, and ignore this guy as I walk through the doors and have a discussion with the Titan Thera. She's overjoyed to see each and every one of you subscribe and plunge your blades into the bell so you can be alerted when I post this bullshit. As I turn to leave, she begins to pull herself free from her chains and this male Karen calls the manager over, but Kratos ain't up for that and beats down the automaton. To really piss that guy off, we begin destroying the Archimedean screws, seen throughout the volcano that are preventing it from erupting. I erupt all over the remaining monsters and give myself a scalding hot lava bath for my second death before Scylla fucking jump scares me to initiate our last fight that has us lobotomize the sea monster using one of the screws. With several of them now destroyed, the pressure builds within the volcano, which means it's time to get the hell out of here. We take the express route when Kratos is blasted out of the mountain and lands safe and sound as volcanic rock pummels the town. I spot a couple frightened citizens and do what any good Samaritan would do, and mercy kill them, while taking on the undead warriors invading the city. Kratos stops to rant at the Athena statue in the city square, and when she tells him not to let his rage blind him, he more or less heeds her advice. After cooling down a bit, I move onwards to play with some more strays, and perform another mercy killing by crushing this dude so he doesn't burn to death. Gorgons then make their return, only to meet a stone-cold killer in Kratos. Afterwards, we approach an eyeless soldier, crying over his buddy, who lies dead in some gut spaghetti. The soldier's name is Dominus, which was the name used for Kratos early in development until the marketing department at Santa Monica requested other suggestions for names, because the name's origins come from the words master or owner, which Kratos most certainly is not. Dominus claims the gods are punishing them and that Death's daughter left a message for us, claiming Kratos will never get the skull to enter Death's domain. Feeling pretty confident she's wrong about that, I deliver Death to the capital city of Crete, Heraclea, named after my big oaf of a brother Hercules. Zeus, disguised as the Gravedigger, makes another return to call Kratos a fool for not embracing his invitation to operate among the gods. His priority now is his brother, but this dude is a negative Nancy and says we'll never find him. We throw down with a few skeletons before the new wraiths are introduced, and they are easily the most annoying version of this enemy. Their range is further and they love to melt into the floor even more than they did in the past, or future. Whatever, what matters is their death. After outrunning certain death, Kratos walks up on a couple statues, triggering a memory of him and his brother sparring. Kratos handily defeats Deimos and stands over him shouting about what it means to be a Spartan. After some tough love, he pulls his brother off the ground and they turn to see their city under attack, and we cut back to adult Kratos again, while he dominates the Geryon and some basic bitches. Nearby, we see Death's daughter questioning a Spartan about my whereabouts, but he doesn't give me up, and we watch as Kratos shows a little bit of compassion for once.
Even in death, you stand tall for battle.
Getting ever closer to Sparta, we continue to rack up the kills and go for a little dip before continuing the slaughter. I walk up on Death's daughter Erinis, who turns around for a brief chat. Can you speak up, please? I can't hear you! Angered by my inadequate hearing, she throws a body at me and sends 12 big raven pals my way like some kind of fucked up Edgar Allan Poe. I show her what I think about her and her birds, to which she responds by turning into one herself and toppling the bridge I'm standing on. I embarrassingly fail a couple QTEs to double up my death total before she tries to pull a Lenny Kravitz and fly away. I ground her permanently and shove my blade into her back for kill number 290. I obtain one of her powers and earn the opportunity to use that on 11 more enemies, right before entering Kratos' hometown of Sparta, where he's greeted by several Spartan ladies with a red orb explosion. Kratos has a flashback to that sparring session with Deimos that ends with Ares and Athena kidnapping him and nearly killing Kratos as well, if not for Athena's intervention. Kratos lies helpless as Deimos shouts for his older brother's help, and we cut back to modern times. I wander into the jail where some rowdy prisoners get some stiff punishment, and this worshipper of Ares attempts to end Kratos using the Piraeus Lion. That trick doesn't work, and the dissenter decided to fuck around, so now he's about to find out.
You'll never catch me!
I march onwards, killing whatever spawns in front of me, and eventually wind up at the Temple of Ares as my loyal Spartans tear down the outdated statue. Inside, I approach a mirror to admire my ghostly pale pecs, and instead get attacked by an actual ghost of my child self, so I bash that little fuckface into the glass and unveil the skull of Ceres. With that in hand, it's time to return to Atlantis to enter Death's domain. But first, my fellow Spartan hands me my old weapon, which is used in conjunction with my trusty blades to spill more blood. Here, Thanatos warns Kratos of the path he walks and threatens to stop him if he continues on, but can't even face me himself, instead sending more cannon fodder my way. Directly after that, Kratos meets a distraught King Midas, who's going around touching everything and turning it to gold. He could do me a solid and give me some, but instead loses a hand after dipping it in lava when he hallucinated it being the river Styx. And despite losing a hand, he's still able to turn Kratos to gold to tally up another death. I reload and destroy the hounds that come to his rescue.
Why won't the gods let me die?
Look, I'm trying to help with that, bro. Stop struggling and eat some lava already. I tack on a few extra kills on my way to the ship with some fellow Spartans so we can sail to Atlantis. But we're playing with water here because Poseidon is not happy about sinking his prized city. The only thing he helps with is throwing a lot of bodies my way to destroy and add to the count, before the ship gets swept up into a whirlpool and I perform one of the most useless QTEs ever, since we fall into the ocean anyway, and wind up in the sunken city of Atlantis to get a little scolding from Poseidon. I ignore whatever he has to say and perform more mercy killings for the people stuck here, while exploring the city and taking on the rest of Poseidon's followers to get that total into the 500s. I'm unable to locate my exit buddy when I'm crushed for death number 6 and proceed to another statue of Athena telling Kratos that Deimos was a threat to Olympus, and that what transpired had to happen, and urges him to turn back. But honestly, she should know better by now. I raise the bridge and use the skull to open Death's gate, where Linda Hunt greets us again.
The domain of death.
We enter the realm of Thanatos, the god of death, that both man and gods fear, except for Kratos, of course, because in reality they all fear him and his proclivity for extreme violence. I wind up adding another death and attribute that to the camera switch, which is a first for the series. I finally find my brother Deimos and cut him down, but the years of torment has turned him against us, and we're treated to a little bit of sibling roughhousing that ends with Deimos replicating what Kratos did to his other brother Hercules sometime later. Kratos' chiseled jaw cut Deimos' gauntlets to pieces, stopping the beating there, but then Thanatos yoinks him off me to take him for an unsolicited joyride. Feeling left out, Kratos gets up and jumps after them, pulling his brother up and handing him his Spartan weapon to fight alongside each other against Thanatos. Do you need some water, man? We'll give you a second.
are nothing.
Okay, that's enough. Kratos and Deimos team up to take down the god of death, but with Deimos being a mere mortal, he's crushed by Thanatos, which causes Kratos to use Kaioken times 10 to go in for the kill. He picks up his brother and tenderly brings him up to the gravedigger to be buried. Kratos reflects on who he has become, while the gravedigger behind him says he has become a destroyer of worlds, and disappears when Athena fails miserably to console him by saying the last thing tying him to the mortal world is now gone. He smacks her silky smooth god hands away and reiterates that the gods will pay for this. He heads back to Olympus while the credits roll, and we get a brief scene at the end with the gravedigger returning to bury Callisto with an ominous line.
Now, only one remains.
We certainly killed way more than that, so let's check the final numbers. I finished God of War Ghost of Sparta with 633 kills, beating out its other PSP counterpart by 58. The Blades of Athena make up nearly half of my total kills, with the newly introduced Triton enemy type being the most encountered. I ended up with 7 deaths, with basically all of them being completely dumb and avoidable. That gives me a kill-death ratio of 90.43. I beat the game in 5 hours and 6 minutes, which gives us a kill on average nearly every 30 seconds and a death about every 43 minutes. Ghost of Sparta was the final God of War game on the PSP and served to further Kratos' backstory to justify his revenge tour against the gods of Olympus. Like the rest of the games before it, this one was a lot of fun because it played it safe and stuck to the same formula that popularized the franchise. There's one more God of War game to cover, which takes place before the first game. I'm going to play Jedi Survivor first, but once I'm finished with that, I'll cap off the epic God of War series with Ascension. As always, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. I'm King Deschain, signing off for now.